The state of Idaho has had a tax on groceries since 1965 when we imposed the state's ever first sales tax at 3%. It was across the board, didn't really eliminate anything. We've had a tax credit since the same time, only then it was called an income tax credit and it was only $10. The specific grocery tax credit, that wasn't a thing until 1993. It has increased over the years, but it also kind of made people realize, why are we paying taxes on groceries anyway? Back in 2008, there was an attempt to repeal it, but Idaho remains one of 11 states who still put a tax on store-bought food. And every year since that year, there's been a push to get rid of it. After all, tax relief came in third in this year's Boise State Public Policy Survey as what should be a top priority for lawmakers this session. Well, one lawmaker is making a play for easing that grocery tax burden, but as Joe Paris found out, it wouldn't get rid of it altogether.
Good morning, everybody.
Monday morning gavel kicked off week 4 at the Idaho legislature. On tap for the Rev and Tax Committee, an Idaho favorite.
Thank you, Chairman. Named Jason Monks, representative for District 22.
The House Majority Leader with a goal.
We're here to cut taxes.
To cut, this time it's going to take an addition.
We're increasing the tax credit for groceries. We're also allowing you to claim all of your grocery taxes that you pay if you choose to do it that way, kind of like itemizing.
Under current law, Idahoans get a $120 credit per person to offset sales tax paid on groceries. This proposal would boost the amount up to $155 per person, aka the taxpayer, their spouse, and their dependents. The legislation also introduces a new concept. Idahoans could choose to claim their actual sales tax paid on grocery purchases up to $250 per person. They need to keep and submit copies of their grocery receipts with their tax return.
Kind of like itemizing. If they want to itemize their taxes on the credit side for groceries, they're allowed to do so and they'll get every penny of it back.
I know. The question you may ask, why not just repeal the tax on groceries in Idaho once and for all? Representative Monks explains that leaves money on the table for Idaho.
I think when we repeal it completely, we forego as a state all the money that comes in from out-of-state folks. If we get rid of that, we're going to collect it from somebody else, and that somebody else is Idahoans. So I don't know why I would want to forego the money coming in from out of state just so I can tax Idahoans more. That doesn't make sense to me. I think this strikes a good balance.
The endorsement of the idea centers on Idaho tourism, a major part of the state's economy. The logic being that people from out of town would benefit from no tax on groceries while not paying Idaho taxes. This proposal rewards Idaho taxpayers at the end of the year. Critics argue that idea is flawed. The Idaho Democratic Caucus writes to me, quote, Idahoans deserve a meaningful break on their grocery bills, yet Republicans are extending a pittance to working families in the form of a $35 increase in the tax credit for groceries. Meanwhile, they have proposed a $250 million income tax cut that will overwhelmingly benefit the richest individuals and corporations while leaving the state unable to adequately fund necessary services. Majority Leader Monks believes that his idea accomplishes relief. Numbers project it to the tune of about $50 million in annual tax relief.
They can buy their groceries knowing that their tax is paid for, and yet we're going to still be able to collect that tax from out of state.
So another part of this conversation background for years has been, what should the grocery tax include? What should be part of the grocery tax? And although that is basically settled by things like SNAP benefits and federal guidelines, Brian, there's always been questions about, well, if we were to repeal the entire grocery tax, then we'd really have to start drawing lines on, like, what's a grocery? What's just a food item from the store? What about sugary cereal? So that's kind of the slope that goes down. We even heard Governor Little talk about it with reporters at the beginning of the session. Again, though, if you heard from the majority leader, he is really interested in just making sure that Idahoans get something back.
But expecting people to itemize their grocery bill.
If you want the higher $250 amount, if you're keeping track of all your receipts like that, yeah, knock yourself out.
All right, got to put forth the effort, I guess. All right, thanks, Joe. See how that works and if it goes forward.